Hey leaders, welcome to the People Power Project podcast. I'm your host, Morgan Carey, CEO of Morgan Carey Consulting Solutions, Chief People Developer and Advocate for Building Better Workplaces. This podcast is all about empowering the leader in you, whether you're an individual contributor, a manager, or a business owner, to build better, safer, and more enjoyable work environments. Together, we'll reinvent leadership by promoting accountability, supporting healing, and exploring ways to foster growth for the busy business leader. I'm so excited today because joining me is a very, very special guest. She's a dynamic business owner, entrepreneur, and speaker in Richmond, Virginia. She's also a mother and a fraternal twin with a diverse background in modeling, confidence coaching, event planning, and nonprofit work, and real estate. Soliél is now shining in her purpose as owner of Soul Rise Essentials, specializing in mental health merchandise and motivational speaking for resilient humans on the grow. Hey, Soliél, how are you?
I'm wonderful. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here. I'm so glad you're here. So glad you're here. Today, Soliél, we're talking about self-doubt, what the inner voice says. I'm so excited to talk about this topic because I'm sure during your journey of learning and presenting and coaching and all the things, especially confidence coaching, this is the perfect topic for you to join in on.
Absolutely. Yep.
Yeah. We're talking about self-doubt because self-doubt creeps in through this inner voice that tells us things like, I can't do it, or who do you think you are? You're never going to reach your goals. And a lot of times we talk about like goal setting, what goal setting is, how to goal set, how to, kind of tell yourself all the right things. But we don't talk about what happens when that little voice shows up that's like, yeah, you did all that, but for what?
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's a very real thing.
Yes. Have you ever felt truly this weight of what am I doing here? Why am I doing this? I know, even as a confidence coach, because I always say coaches need coaching too, right? So
Absolutely.
what do you do when you are feeling that, if that has happened to you?
You know what's crazy? I'm actually in that place right now because it's like when you reach new heights, it's a version of yourself that you kind of haven't met yet. So you will
Yeah.
experience that. And I know some people watching this who may know me are probably like, what?
Yeah.
And that's why I'm excited to share that because we all go through it. But what I do and what I'm doing right now is allowing the feeling to be what it is.
Yeah.
And that's how I meet each emotion that I experience. So when self doubt creeps in, limiting beliefs creep up, I'm like, okay, did I get curious? Of course, I don't feel great in those moments, but I get curious. I'm like, where is this coming from? And why do you feel like this? Because there are so many people who see us, as these current versions of ourselves, but they don't understand what it feels like internally to be who you are, to reach these new heights and new achievements. So it's something we experience. And for me, I go inward and get curious. And again, first, I allow the emotion or the feeling to be what it is. I'm not going to immediately try to fix it. I need to figure out what this is. So when and if it comes up again, I know how to meet the next version of myself with more confidence.
Yeah. It's amazing though, because this happens even though we feel truly called to what we're doing, right? And this was the shock for me when self-doubt started creeping in. Because you think like like I said, once I set the goal and once I realized, okay, this is what I want to do, or this is what I feel called to do, I'm on the right path. You're not even thinking about that little voice that's gonna come in and say, you don't know what you're doing, or nobody's listening to you.
Yeah.
I know as a podcaster, that's one of those things that can creep in and say nobody's even paying attention to what you're talking about. Why are you doing this? And that's just like this self-doubt creeping in, even when you feel truly called to do what it is that you're doing.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's normal. It's humility and it's your humanity,
Yeah,
in
yeah.
my opinion.
Feeling unqualified to do the thing that you were called to do. And when I hear people say it's so easy for us to talk to other people about it. Like if you were to tell me, hey, I don't know if I'm supposed to be doing this, I'm like, girl, you got Soul Rise Essentials. You're speaking to young girls. You're speaking to grown women. You're pushing at people. What do you mean that you don't know if you're doing what it is that you're supposed to be doing, or you feel underqualified, you know?
Yep.
What that signifies to me is that being called doesn't mean you won't struggle.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
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 Obstacles gonna come.
Yeah.
They are going to come. And people think that it's always other people instilling or saying things to us that create self doubt. But most of the time it is us.
Yeah.
And that doesn't mean that we stay in this place. Like my journey has not been a journey completely of self doubt, but there are times in my life where I'm doing something completely new where I haven't seen somebody else do it close up to me. So mentors are important. But when I look at my family structure, I'm the first entrepreneur as far as I know. So I don't have anybody I can call and just be myself.
Mhm.
Other people are looking for me to be that girl that shows up at speaking engagements or on social media or on the news, whatever. But I'm still a little old me at the end of the day. And it'd be nice to just call somebody who sees that girl inside of me in each version that, she has been beyond that. But you have to create those mentors around you, because I don't always have that person I could just call and just be me, just be Soliél from Round Away, like mentally struggling with, okay, am I doing this right? Am I, you
Yeah.
have those moments. So I just be honest with myself if I don't have anybody else to be honest with.
I've run into that as well. As like, I don't really have what I would call a mentor. You know how I said coaches need coaches too, mentors need mentors too. There should be someone that, you can talk to that can give you some advice, can kind of understand you and lead you based on some of their experiences. What do you do when you're like, man, I really wish I could talk to somebody who may understand what I'm going through right now? And it's not that you don't have friends and family to talk to, it's just that they might not be doing what you're doing, or they may not be able to
Exactly.
understand at the level you are in your journey of the work that you do. So what do you do there?
I actually did it recently. So I want to back up just a little bit and say I have so many amazing mentors and people that I've just met along the way while
Hmm.
doing this. But when I got started, like I didn't have those close relationships with people where I felt comfortable
Yeah.
asking them those personal questions. But literally about 2 weeks ago, somebody that is very well known in our area, I got to do some business with her, and something told me just ask her, like just
Yeah.
cross over, because she a Black woman, she looked just like me. And I asked, I said, what did this journey look like for you when you were going through X, Y, and Z, when you were trying to pay your bills,
Yeah.
and build a budding company? And she was so honest with me, and it was me getting over myself and saying, hey, that's another human right there who bleed blood just like you do. Ask her. She a
Yeah.
sister girl, she doing work in the community just like you. Just ask her. The worst thing that could happen is she'd be like, girl, no, you all in my business, I'm
Yeah.
not going to share that with you. But that's not what happened. And at the end of that conversation, first off, she gave me a real honest answer. And she said, if you need anything, just call me. So I think sometimes getting over ourselves
Yeah.
and pushing that self-doubt to the back, because self-doubt could have crept in and be like, no, don't ask her, don't ask her. But I pushed past it, and I was uncomfortable, and I made myself humanize her, and I asked her. Now she's like, you need anything, just give me a call. And this is somebody that a lot of people look up to.
You know what I've learned is that most of the time people want to tell you things, right? So if you or people want to do things for you, but sometimes we just got to get over asking, and the thing that's keeping us from asking, I guess, is the rejection. And the fear of the rejection usually comes from the self-doubt, because you're thinking like, who am I? Or if are they going to tell me anything? Or it's like,
Yeah. Or
why
are they going
think
to look
about all
down
that?
on me because
Yeah.
I'm
Shouldn't I know
carrying.
this already?
Right. Shouldn't I know this already? Or do I not want to put myself in a vulnerable situation for somebody to know my business and talk about me? My name is in lights and
Yeah.
all of this stuff. And here I am, look like I'm, struggling or whatever. But like you said, I think those limiting beliefs and self-doubt comes from deep-rooted issues. And although we talk about business, wherever we go, there we are. So your mess is going to follow you. Whatever you have an address is going to follow you. So I'm really big on self-development, because wherever we are, if we're leaders, if we're working under someone, regardless, your mess will follow you wherever you are. So we have to figure out why these things keep creeping up.
Yeah, another space that I've seen self-doubt show up, one of the reasons why self-doubt shows up is perfectionism, right? And what we just described just now was feeling like we have to have it all figured out before we can even ask another expert to help us. But that sounds weird even saying that. I have to know what I'm doing before I
Right.
can ask somebody else for help. Well, what would be the point of asking for help
Exactly.
if you got it all figured out already?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that perfectionism and wanting to appear like we have it all together, like, it's going to continue for me going back to our humanity. We're
Yeah.
just humans at the end of the day. So just ask the question.
Exactly. And you know, so like this kind of bleeds over into who I work with a lot. I work with leaders. I'm a leader, and I work with leaders to help them build better workplaces, right? And I think one of the best ways to build better workplaces is to make sure your leaders are better. And leaders have the only way leaders can be better is to be healed, to be, you know, confident, to understand who they are and not care so much about what other people think so they can do the job that they're equipped to do, right? That they're qualified to do. They need to feel it. They need to feel qualified. They need to be healed. They need to understand the things that they've gone through and what they're bringing to work every single day with them so they can show up as the best version of themselves. And I think leaders often get stuck in self-doubt day to day, you know, for
Mhm.
whatever reason, whether it's past experiences in boardrooms, you know, in conferences, in learning experiences that continue to tell them that they're not ready for what they're doing. And even after they get the title, they don't feel like they're ready for what they're doing. What would you say to that leader?
I would say to that leader to continue self development. If you haven't already started it, take a class, do something different. Literally, it could be anything. It could be that thing that you've always wanted to do as a kid. It could be salsa dance. It could be tap dancing. I recently took a improv comedy class. You know,
Yeah.
that was something that I did to
I
help
bet that was
develop
fun.
that. It was so fun. I have my showcase next week actually, but it was something that I did to get over myself
Yeah.
because like you said that self-doubt, I just wanted to be silly. I wanted to say the first thing that came to my mind so that when I'm public speaking, I don't have to worry about what are they thinking? Is this making sense to them? So what? You got paid, they called you, somebody thought your voice was valuable. So I would say tap into a skill and maybe even try a hobby, something silly or something you've always wanted to do. But on the flip side, if you don't want to do that or you want to do both, lean into self-development, take leadership courses, go to therapy, you know, really do those things that you feel don't even make sense or even relate to that role or that leadership title, but it really matters. So I
Yeah.
would say that like get curious and take a class, do something new.
Always developing yourself. I think that self-development, personal development is the key to professional development. I don't think you can have one without the other. Many times what I find is corporate leaders, they focus on the skills they need to do the job, the skills they need to show up as a better leader at work. But then at home and you know in their private time, they're not really developing themselves as far as uh being able to communicate just with the people in their life outside of work.
Yeah.
Those same things that you're learning outside of work, you can take them to work. Because what I always say is, I'm the same person at work that I am at home. Now, I don't act the same, of course, because the circumstances are different, the environment is different. So I'm not going to act the same. But I'm still Morgan. Like you just said, everywhere you go, there you are. I am always Morgan, no matter what. So the things I do outside of work to develop myself, the relationships I build out of work, the salsa dancing classes, the books that I'm reading, all of those experiences and skills I'm going to take to work, and they help me feel more confident in the
Yes.
bedroom, or they help me feel more confident in the one-on-one conversation when I need to break down the complexities of whatever concept we're working on. You'll just be surprised at how the things that seemingly have nothing to do with what you do at work are shaping who you are and pulling you out of that area of self-doubt. You
Yes.
know? And what I
I,
also want people to understand is that self-doubt often shows up the loudest when you're getting something meaningful. So if
mm,
you're like, if I feel like I'm called to do this thing, but it feels like I'm unqualified, or it feels like I'm on the wrong track, I can't believe the words don't flow or my actions don't flow when I'm doing the thing that I thought I was called to do. Keep going.
mm-hmm.
Keep going because the self-doubt is showing up because whatever you're doing is meaningful. Whatever you're
Yeah.
doing is important. If you didn't care about it, you wouldn't have the self-doubt.
Yeah.
You just wouldn't even be
Okay.
thinking about it. So, how do you feel your past experiences may have been internalized and show up now and manifest now as self-doubt?
Girl. So I took a course with E. Cornell and it was titled Women's Entrepreneurship. So I'm just thinking, oh, we're gonna learn about business. But one of the first things that we did, one of the first courses we took was about about psychology just in general. And in that course is where I had to dig deep and figure out because they were asking us questions just like this. And I'm like, what does this have to do with business? But now 4 years later, when doubt is creeping in, I now know you are feeling like this because you've never seen it up close and personal. You know,
Mhm.
you've gone through life and you got these opportunities and you figured out that you were an entrepreneur by happenstance. This is who you are, but you've never seen it before. So I had to really dig deep and figure out, like, what does success mean to me? And I didn't know. I had no idea. I don't have any now don't get me wrong, I love my family, all of that stuff, but as it pertains to business, I didn't have anything to look up to, if
Yeah.
that makes sense. And so the self-doubt was creeping in, like, who am I? Who said I could do this? I've never seen this before. So I think there are things that I've experienced in my past that I would say, like going to the juvenile detention center, not feeling good enough or feeling like somebody would expose me, but I expose myself. Now I share my story and I get paid for it, and I also get to uplift other kids and hopefully change the trajectory of their lives. So again, that self-doubt came, but I redirected that thing. I took Toastmasters classes when I felt like I was, jubbering my words together or not remembering my thoughts. I did something that made me feel very uncomfortable and developed it, developed my skill around it so I could be the person that I say that I am, that I believe that I am. So again, at different points in my journey, like where we are 4 years into business, year 3, year 2, year 1, it's been different things and it's been uncomfortable, but I'm like, just push through it, get curious and figure out, okay, how we gonna flip this thing around? Because that's the story of my life, like
Yeah.
transformation. So if I did that before, I'm gonna do it again. But I've had seasons of imposter syndrome and not feeling good enough and self-doubt, and a lot of my experiences as a teenager and a young adult kind of contributed to those things. So who knows how this journey would have turned out had I not gone through those things, but I wouldn't trade it for the world.
If you're looking for stylish, affordable glasses that make a statement, you've got to check out Vuglam. They've got frames for every vibe, whether you're keeping it professional or going bold. They got a pair for you. Not only will you look great, but you'll also be supporting the show when you shop using my link. So head on over to the show description, click the link, and pick your perfect pair. I can't wait to see which ones you wear. As a leader, you are offering something to someone. You should be. Leadership is not about bossing people around. It's not about controlling people. It's not about telling people what to do and having all the power. It really is about serving people, offering them the things that you learned in life, your ability to be successful. You're giving that to the people that you lead. That's what I think leadership should be about. I feel like that's why I'm called to do it, because I'm called to be a servant to the people.
Yeah.
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 And even still, feeling like that and having this history, this track record of being a leader and being pretty good at it when I'm doing it, I still in the moment will have these times when my inner voice is saying, you don't know what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
You don't know
Yeah.
what you're doing. And then, you know how that shows up sometimes? If I'm telling myself I don't know what I'm doing, right? And then I get a conversation with someone and it sounds like they're talking to me like I don't know what I'm doing.
Mm-hmm.
Now
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Now I'm
Yep.
angry. But the
Yep.
only person I'm really angry at is
Is
me.
yourself.
I've
Yeah.
already told myself I don't know what I'm doing. You see how that
Mm.
works?
Yes. Yes.
Because if
I
you
was
really
literally
believe it, it doesn't matter what they're saying to you. It doesn't matter how they're talking to you, because you know what you're doing.
Absolutely. I had that thought today, and maybe it's because it was going to come up in this conversation, but that is so real. A lot of the times we're simply upset with ourselves for our own beliefs. That's why you got to catch them things. Like, the Bible, they talk about holding captive every thought and figuring out, okay, what is this? This the enemy or this God? You know what I mean? So yeah, that's really, really real. And we have to do the work. I know I've talked a little bit about it on a surface level, but getting curious, going beyond that, you have to talk to yourself.
Yeah.
And when those thoughts come, you got to be like, no, man, we're not doing that today. I have little reminders that I set up in my phone throughout the day, every day around the same time. And one of them is, I am who I think I am. You
Yeah.
are who you think you are. That's what it says. You are who you think you are. I can do anything that I put my mind to. These are things that I heard as a kid. Like, you can do whatever you put your mind to. They seem so elementary. But
Mm-hmm.
when you start going through these things in your life, you have to remind yourself, because
It's
those voices
necessary.
pop up and you have to combat them and be like, no, I am who I think I am. You are. So then
Necessary.
those become my thoughts, and then my actions and behavior will follow that. So you got to talk to yourself and make it positive. And it could be so elementary, but they make a huge difference. So when I'm going through this season of self doubt, It don't matter. The thoughts came. We gonna let them pass. We not gonna judge them. We just gonna let them know next time we not thinking that. So I am who I think I am, and that's how I've been showing up in this season.
I love that. I am who I think I am. I am who I think I am. I think that's something that people should maybe put on a sticky note, an index card, something, post it on your mirror so you can see that every single morning, because it's important that you start your morning telling yourself the right things. And I think that that's a great one to put on a post-it note and sit there for a little bit. What I like to do is change them out. I need to
Yes.
change. I like to write things down, put it up there maybe a month or so, take
Yep.
something down, put another thing there.
Yes.
Wherever
Yes.
I'm gonna be looking often. One time I even taped something to the TV, to the corner of the TV,
Absolutely.
because I knew I was going to watch my shows. But in the corner of the TV, I put a little note that said the thing that I needed to tell myself every single
Absolutely.
day, several times a day. So
And what you're doing, even though it seems so simple, is you're rewiring your brain so that eventually those thoughts will go away, or eventually you believe the new thought. So it's just repetitive, positive behaviors. People make neuroscience and rewiring your brain, all that stuff so deep. I mean, the concepts are really amazing, but how to get the work done, very simple. You
the
just have to be
actions are
consistent.
really, really,
Yeah.
really simple. Yeah. Do you have a recent moment where you feel like self-doubt held you back from doing or getting something, or could have, and you were able to overcome it?
And I was able to overcome it.
Yeah.
Other than the example that I gave just now, actually, I will be very transparent. So, um, my showcase coming up, I'm still battling with myself if I'm actually going to go. But when you asked me if I was able to overcome it, next week I'll find out. It's either going to be
Glad
a
I
yes
asked the
or a no.
question.
But I am so, first of all, when I signed up for this class, again, it was just to literally be silly and like laugh at myself so that when I'm doing these speaking engagements, I'm not worried about what nobody got to think. Nobody's thinking about what I'm saying. It is what it is. You put yourself out there, keep
Yeah.
going. They either like it or they don't, right? But that was my initial thing, to get over that, to not think about what people are thinking so much.
So you
But
can
when I
focus on
got
what
there,
you're doing.
exactly, focus on what I. But when I took the class, I'm the only person who hadn't like done theater. I did theater like in elementary school for a little bit. I got kicked out that class. I'm always getting kicked out somewhere. But I don't have a theater background. I think I'm like naturally funny, like on a scale from 1 to 10, maybe like a 4 or 5, but
Yeah.
I ain't hilarious like that. But then it's like, this is not just improv, this is comedic improv. So I feel out of place. Everybody else is going through their bios and talking about why they're there, their, comedic and theater backgrounds. I'm like, oh, okay. Then I'm the only Black girl. There was a sister in there, but then she dropped out. So now it's just me. So I'm hearing these people's minds and what comes out of their mouth, like just like this. I don't even know what they be talking about half the time. They might say a word or concept. I'm like, what that mean? I think I heard that before. So culturally, it's a big difference. I love these people. They are so sweet. But I feel out of place. And so I've been pushing through that each week when I go.
Look at you.
Now that this showcase is coming, I'm like, they gonna say something in front of all these people, family and friends and other folks that come to this theater, and I'm not gonna know what the hell they're talking about. So I feel like I'm already embarrassed, and I'm like, are you gonna go?
I think it's a
Because
good place for you to be. I think you should do this.
everybody, you're the third person that has said that,
You
and I think
absolutely
I
have
need
to
to
do it.
I need to get over my ego, because it's just ego and I don't want to be embarrassed. So when you ask me, how I overcame it, I can overcome this if I just go. And if I'm embarrassed, so what? I'm still,
Exactly.
yeah.
So I was going to ask you, what is going to be the cost if you don't do it? How will you feel when the opportunity has passed?
I think I will still be in my comfort zone.
Right.
And I think I would miss a huge opportunity to live out what I coach people every day on confidence. You showed up and the outcome doesn't matter. You were there. So what would I miss out on? Probably the next version of myself that'll help me get unstuck in this current season.
Yeah. Yeah. I think you should do it. I think we just figured out right on the podcast what you need to make sure you do. You said it's in a week.
Girl, yes, it
Yeah.
is. It's in less than a week. I will report back.
Absolutely. I can't wait to hear about it. And you know
Amen.
what? If you weren't supposed to do it and if it wasn't meaningful for you, you wouldn't have so much trepidation about it. You wouldn't be so worried about it. And sometimes when we're outside of our comfort zone, it's the best place for a breakthrough to happen. You said
Yeah.
a couple of things, a couple of times you said, you fell out of place. And many times when we're the only Black person and it's a non-Black space, that is the thing that is causing the self-doubt. We may not know that it's exactly that, but when we feel out of place, sometimes we begin to doubt ourselves, like we don't know what we're doing. I don't belong here. But you know what? Most of the time, in most environments, people don't know what they're doing. They just look like they know what they're doing. They don't
That's
know people don't know what they're talking about. They just sound like they know what they're talking about. And if it's an environment that we're not used to, it also sounds like to our ear that they know what they're talking about and we don't. But if we spend a little bit more time there,
yeah. Yeah.
we will begin to understand that maybe they didn't know what they were talking about back then. It was just that
Yeah.
I was not adept at this. So
Yeah.
I felt like they knew so much more than me. Just spend a little bit more time there, and keep working at what you're doing, because eventually you'll become the expert.
Mhm.
Yesterday I was on a call, and someone on the call was talking about how does a baby learn to walk, right? And they were like, a baby doesn't learn to walk and just start thinking. They don't say, "Oh my goodness, I'm gonna fall. What's everybody gonna think about me falling? I'm gonna look so silly. I'm gonna be embarrassed." The baby just gets up and starts walking, falls, cries a little bit, and keeps going. That's the same thing we have to do when we start something new, because walking is new for the baby, just like the thing we're about to go into that we've never done before. So
Yeah.
we just need to walk into it. We may fall on our face, we may bomb, we may cry a little bit or feel like we want to cry. We get up and we keep going, because
Yeah.
that's really the only way we're going to learn. It's harder because as adults we got this awareness of embarrassment. The
We
word
know too
we
much.
know too much. We got this
Yeah.
awareness of embarrassment and what other people think, and that's really all that we're nervous about, is what other people think. And so if we could really just work on not caring so much about what other people think, we could do so much more.
That's so true. Yeah. And not being afraid to let people see us trying because
Yeah.
they still sitting on the sideline, scared to try. So,
Yes. You know what one of my favorite lines is when I start letting self-doubt and um premature embarrassment creep in, I'll say to myself, I don't care what they think. They probably want to do it. Or they probably wish they could do it. And when I tell myself that, it's like
come
go ahead,
on.
like go on and do it, because if somebody wishes they could do what you're doing, what you're helping them by showing them, if I can do this, you can do this. So it's not about being better than the next person. It's like you're supposed to be the one showing the person that wishes they could do this that they can do it.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah. So keep
Yeah.
going. Keep going.
Love that. Yeah. Thank
That representation matters, and I can't wait for you to report back.
you. Love it.
Gonna do it. All right. What affirmation would you give to someone that is allowing self-doubt to creep in?
Mm,
I'll start with one. This might help you think. I lead with purpose, not perfection. Remember, I said perfectionism is the thing that helps the self-doubt creep in, and
hmm
it's also a lot of leaders that are often worried about uh, showing up the right way, being qualified in the boardroom, being heard when they do get a seat at the table. And I think one of the things that has helped me over time is to tell myself how I've been a leader in other jobs that I've had even before this one. I showed up as a leader even when I didn't have the title leader. It's thinking about how I'm able to lead and how I've been able to show people that I lead and how I've been able to be a good leader that helps me remember that I am qualified to do what I'm doing now. And so
Yeah.
that affirmation is I lead with purpose, not perfection. So I don't have to have it right all the time,
Yeah.
but my track record speaks for itself that I'm pretty good at this. So
Yeah.
let's
Yeah.
do
Yeah. Yes. I love that. So
it.
I would say this affirmation: I will meet the next version of myself on the other side of this obstacle.
Yeah. I like that. I like that a lot, because that will keep you going. It'll keep pushing you until you get to the thing that it
Yes.
is that you're trying to get to. And here's the kicker. When after you get to the thing that you're trying to get to, our personality types, there's another thing after that.
Okay. Always something. Can we hit
There's
a
always
break?
another thing. So you're gonna need that affirmation. You're gonna need the ability to keep pushing yourself. Now, what would you tell our listeners who are struggling with self-doubt, struggling with finding a mentor, a coach, a therapist? They feel like these things aren't really working for them, but they want to keep going in the field or in the activity that they're going in, and they just might need a word. What
Yeah.
word would you give them?
I would say get uncomfortable, and until you are tired of being tired, you're not tired enough yet. So
Mm.
if you're looking at your life, you're looking at your career, and you need a shift, or you feel stuck, but you're not doing anything, you're not making an action, then you're not that tired.
Yeah.
So once you feel that fatigue and you like something has to change, don't be afraid to empower yourself, because there may not be an angel that's going to tap you on the shoulder and be like, do this. You have to be that person to speak life to yourself and give yourself permission to soar beyond where you are right now. And I always say to myself, what will happen? Like, this version of my life right now, could I live like this for the rest of my life? If
Yeah.
nothing changes, would I be happy? Would I be prosperous? Would I feel less anxiety? And if the answer is no, then I got to shift. I got to do something. So be courageous and do it scared. Do the thing scared, because as Morgan and I just said, there are so many people who wish they could be the example. Fall flat on your face. Don't be afraid to try. Don't be afraid to be seen trying, because there are so many people who wish they were you, that had the courage that you have. Whether you've acted on it yet or not, there are so many people who wish. So show them through your journey, your choices in your life, that what they want is on the other side of them taking action as well.
Yeah.
That's what I would say.
That's good. That's good. And this week, what I want people to think about is, what is self-doubt doing for you? What is it stopping you from doing? How is it comforting you? Because sometimes we're using self-doubt as a way to keep us in that comfort zone, right? Ask yourself this, and if you need to, write it down. Write down the answer to this question. What is self-doubt doing for me? How is it protecting me? How is it keeping me comfortable? But also, what is it keeping me from becoming? Okay.
Yes.
There's something that you're called to do. You might be in the calling, or you might know the calling and haven't started it, and self-doubt is in the way. What is it doing for you?
Absolutely.
And if you think you could use some guidance in this area moving forward in your self-doubt journey, your healing journey, getting to the place that you're trying to be journey, join the People Power Project Circles coaching program. It's called Thrive Women's Leadership Coaching, where you'll learn in a group or individually to lead through your emotional storms, uncertainties, and processing your leadership wins and challenges and adversity. And this is going to help to take you to the next level. We talk about things like the self-doubt, the confidence coaching, helping you get to the place that you'd love to be and work through the calling that you feel like is placed on your life. So just click the link in the show description or email me at contact@morgancareyconsulting.com and sign up today. Soliél, I want to thank you so much for being here today. Thank you for coming on. We appreciate your insights. How can people get in contact with you?
Absolutely. So you can visit my website at booksoleil.com, and the spelling of my name is Soliel. And you can book me for speaking, for confidence coaching as well. And then you can also shop my mental health merchandise. I'm wearing one of my loved affirmation necklaces today. And then I have
Love
one of
it.
my new shirts for May is actually Mental Health Awareness Month. Very passionate about mental health and also fashion. So I put those two things together, and I do offer mental health merchandise. I also have like accessories. So I have this little poster back here. It's our mental wellness manifesto. So things for
Yeah.
you, your children, your work groups, your corporate groups are available at soulriseessentials.com. And the spelling of it is behind me, but you can also see solriseessentials.com for all of your mental health merchandise needs. I'm on LinkedIn as well. So just in my first and last name, Soliel, last name Lindsey, to keep up with all the things that I'm doing and to follow me on this journey. I'm acting this thing out. So if you need a confidence coach that is living and practicing what she preaches, you know, you want somebody fun and relatable, I'm your girl. So keep up with me, and thank y'all for listening. And remember to mind your mind and shine your light.
Thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate it. If this episode resonated with you, share it with a friend, a coworker, or even your manager. And don't forget to subscribe to the People Power Project podcast wherever you get your podcast for more inspiring and actionable episodes. Follow me on TikTok at People Power Project and tag me with your thoughts, #People Power Project podcast. Until then, remember, people-empowered workspaces are simply the best workplaces. I'll see you next week.